Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wyoming Knits YouTube channel. My name is Jenny Lee and this is my channel where I like to talk about all the things that I've been knitting on over the past week. Today is Sunday, March 8th, 2026, and this is episode 129. You can find me on Instagram as Jenny Lee Knits, and you can find me on Ravelry as Jenny Lee S Knits. And today I'm coming to you from a beautiful, sunny southwest Wyoming, where I live with my husband, our daughter, and our little Yorkie, Dax. I have 4 works in progress for you today, and no finished objects. I started 2 new projects this week. Have not received any yarny mail, and so let's hop into works in progress. The first work in progress I have is living in this Popsicle bag that I got from Happy Mermaid Yarn Co. a few years ago. It came with a sock set. Don't think they have this print anymore, but I will link to their shop in the description box below. Everything I talk about today, if there is a link, I will link it in the description box below. I will link the pattern. Well, the pattern will be linked on my project page. I link the yarn and where you can buy the yarn, or where I bought the yarn, and the project bags. So this is a yarn. This yarn is discontinued. So this is a Zen Yarn Garden yarn. This is a fingering weight, 90% superfine superwash merino, 10% nylon. And this color is French vanilla. It's a nice tonal yellow. And I started the second breakfast socks by Witchery. These are for a gift. I am through the heel and I am still working on my decreases for the gusset. So on this sock I started with a German twisted cast on. I cast on 64 stitches and I cast on using a size 0 9-inch circular needle, and I did 20 rounds of a 2x2 rib for the cuff, and then I went into the second breakfast sock pattern and I used the heel from the Sock Ladies, the Crazy Sock Ladies vanilla socks on 9-inch circulars. And so hopefully I can have these finished pretty soon. They are for a gift. They're for my daughter's friend. She picked out some yarn at a yarn store in Colorado last time she went, and she said, hey, if I buy a skein of yarn, will your mom make me socks? And my daughter told her, oh yeah, she will. And she brought me back the yarn, and it was 100% alpaca. And I said, ooh, I don't know if socks would be the best choice for that yarn. So I picked out a different skein that I had in my stash, and she said, ooh, I love that color. Yes, please. And so these are going to be her socks. And then I will tell you about the other project I'm knitting for her in just a minute. But these are the second breakfast socks by Witchery. My next project is also a pair of socks. It's living in this Molly Klein Designs bag. And it was my Dream Color yarn that I got from the Yarn in the Tail last year as their local yarn store day color. And this one is called Mixtape, with the teal and the purple and the green and the pink. And I started another sock for one of the ladies that I work with. Her birthday was in February, and I told her I would make her a pair of socks. I did not cast these on until March, but she will be excited to get them. Ooh, I love how that is pooling like that. I didn't notice that until just now. So this is the String of Lights pattern by Witchery. I'm also using size 0 9-inch circular needles. Started with 64 stitches, 2x2 rib for 20 rounds, and then I started in on the String of Lights pattern. I almost forgot what it was called. So I have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 rounds. I'll probably do 70 rounds for the leg, then start my heel. So these will be worked on this week. Also, just some simple socks to have to work on after I finish my big project for the week. Then my next one, you have seen this bag before. This is my Musselburgh hat by Ysolda Teague in the Katie's Randomness bag. And this is the alpaca yarn I was talking about. This is from Sela Yarn Co. I do not have a link for this one. Here is the information. I will try to link this on the bottom. This was 80 grams of 100% alpaca, 300 yards. It is called Brown Marled, and I made a lot of progress this week on this hat. This is the Musselburgh hat by Ysolda Teague. It is a double folded hat. So you knit, you start at the bottom, or you start at one end, and you do all your increases, then you knit a big long tube, and then you do decreases. And I'm going to put some stitch stoppers on here, because every time I feel like I'm losing stitches. There we go. Okay, now I won't lose any stitches. So you knit this big long tube. I was right here last week, so in 1 week I knit this much. So eventually this will fold up in on itself, kind of like that. I do have a ways to go. Because this was not a 100-gram skein, I'm going to knit until there's about 8 to 10 grams left, and then I will start my decreases, and I'm pretty sure that will be enough yarn for a nice sized hat. So that's in here. I have some stitch markers in here. I also have a scale, so I can weigh my yarn. Excuse me. So I can weigh my yarn to see. I think I'm at 20 grams right now, so I have about 10 more grams to knit and then start the decreases. And those are my 3 small projects, and then I have 2 more larger projects. Let's go with this one. These are both blankets, and this is my Gnome blanket that I am making for my friend Megan. Oh, it goes this way. I was showing you the back side. Uh-oh, all tangled. Let's see, can I get... I have not been cutting the yarn when I finish a square, if I'm going to use the same color for the next square. So I've just been putting my little stitch marker in and holding this live stitches, and then using the same yarn to do the next one. So I have 2.5 rows finished so far. I was I had just finished this gray square last time. I added these 3 gray squares and then started on the next row, and I've done, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 squares since last week. I will pop up a picture right here of what it's supposed to look like when it's finished. I found a corner to corner crochet graph and I was like, ooh, that would be pretty. Megan would like a blanket like that. And I said, how could I do that? I was like, oh, I could do mitered squares. And so I'm doing all the mitered squares to match the graph. I will link in my project page the original crochet corner to corner pattern. It is a free pattern, and they do have different gnome graphs. It was supposed to be a 12-month gnome blanket. I'll see if I can find a picture and I'll put that picture up here. But it had a different gnome for, maybe it's not a 12-month, I don't know. You'll see the picture. And it had all the different gnomes, but I liked the blue one with the snowflake the best. And I went back through and it does have some different options where you can like switch out the holiday themed ones, but I liked the blue one with the snowflake the best after I went back and looked through all of them. So I'm making that for my friend Megan. I'm doing 15 stitches by 15 stitches. Not sure what needle size I'm using. It will be on the project page on Ravelry, and the project page will be linked in the description box below. And then my last project, I think I'm 1 day behind on this project. This is my Painting Honeycombs blanket. This is my second one this year that I'm knitting for one of the ladies I work with. I'm making a blanket for each one of her kids. There's 2 in elementary school and 1 in middle school. And I have chosen to use this Loops and Threads Flex. And this is the color Sunshine. Yes, this one's Sunshine. Then we have Violet, Seafoam, and Peachy. And I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need to do yesterday's and today's. So another purple and a pink. This yarn is not my favorite, I have found. The way the strands are, let's see if you can see that. It is very splitty, and there's been a couple of spots where I have missed the yarn. So I'm not having as much fun knitting this one as I did the Lion Brand Mandala one. I am carrying all of my get this over here so I can show you. Carrying all of the yarn up the back in the I-cord. So I'm just taking the yarn I'm going to knit with next, and moving all of the yarn up and over that strand, and then starting, and it catches the yarn and carries it up the I-cord edge. That was a tip from one of the videos I watched from Stephen West on how to carry your yarn up the side when you're doing an I-cord edge. I'm not sure which video that's in, but I'm sure he has a few of them that have that tip in there. It might have even been one of the mystery knit-alongs that he did, where it showed you how to carry your yarn up the side on your I-cord edge when you have multiple colors. I think if I had more than 3 colors, I would probably cut the yarn, but there's only 3 extra strands to carry up in that I-cord edge, and so I think that will work. That is everything I worked on this week. I don't think I worked on anything else. I do want to work on some things for myself. I want to start some new projects. I have some yarn in project bags that I want to start, but I want to finish some of this other stuff first. I want to finish my daughter's Straya cardigan. She's like, Mom, have you even worked on that lately? Not since November. And she said, I haven't even seen it since you started working on it. What does it look like? And I showed her and she's like, oh, I love it. So I need to work on that some more. I want to finish those socks and the Musselburgh hat. I want to get some more blankets done, but every time I start working on one of the other ones that's like for myself, a scrappy blanket, I start going and I'm like, oh, this is going to take either way longer than I thought it was. I don't have all the yarn that I want for it. So I want to get back to working on some things for myself and finishing up some things. I have 2 pairs of socks for myself that I've put on hold. I don't know when I'll get those ones back out. So we'll see what I get up to next week. This week we have parent-teacher conference week. I have parents signed up until 6 o'clock at night, so I'm not sure how much knitting time I will get this week. I'm going to probably try to take a pair of socks or the Musselburgh with me, and if I have some time in between, I will work on that. Last time I didn't have much downtime between parents, and so I didn't get much knitting time. And then after this week, we are on spring break. So I get a week off, and I'm hoping to maybe come up here and do some rearranging and some project planning and getting some things refreshed and ready to go. So we'll see what I get up to next week. If you have any questions for me, leave them in the comment section and I will try to get back to those as soon as possible. I always love interacting with the comments that you guys leave. I look forward to all the people that leave a comment every week, and if you could hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next week. Until then, happy knitting.